Wanted to jump in here. I've got just a little bit of time before my next call. I wanted to jump in here to talk about something that might be hitting some people. But let me make sure that we are live and in charge and all that. As you're jumping in, do me a favor, let me know that you can hear me. Say hello. Tell me where you're coming from. I don't know what it is with my voice. Looks like we've got this. As you're jumping in. All right. I'm coming through loud and clear. So good to hear. So here's the deal. I wanted to have a conversation because I just had a question come in. Now, hopefully you know that Evan Carmichael is in the house, man. How you doing, buddy? So I wanted to just talk about something in the sense that questions are coming in from the Affluent Entrepreneur Show. Those of you that are following and listening and viewing the Affluent Entrepreneur Show, first off, thank you so much. And second, if you haven't done so, do me a favor, leave a review, say hello. One of the things that I do is I read the reviews on air. When I read the reviews on air, you automatically get a one-on-one laser coaching session with me. So we'll talk money, we'll talk wealth, we'll talk business, we'll talk whatever you need to see that how I can help to move you forward, move the needle for you. So that's one. Two, it really is about answering your questions. It's about moving you forward and moving your financial future forward and making that happen. So one of the things that I do is answer questions. So if you have questions, also ping me with the questions, DM me with the questions, send me a comment with the questions. Just like today's live, I'll either bring it on an episode, and this one I'll probably bring on an episode at some point, but I wanted to do this live because I got the feeling from the question and the way it was worded that this was something that was more time sensitive, that they needed the advice. And the one thing I want to do is make sure that I'm here for you to support you in this process. So the question that came up, Nick from New York City, how are you doing, my friend? Good to see you. So the question that came in said was from someone in Seattle. I am going to be in Seattle actually tomorrow, and that's a long story. I need to figure out how to get a passport before Saturday, and I have to fly to Seattle to do it. But that's a story for another time. Crazy stuff. But here's the thing. This question came and says, what's the best way to negotiate with my credit card companies or negotiate my debt? So I don't know enough information on this person, but I'm going to give you some general guidelines and everything. For those of you who know that I spend a lot of time in mediation and negotiation with deals and transactions and things like that. So there's some things to be aware of, but here's why I think this is important and timely, because I think that in today's economy, in today's situation, there's a lot of people that maybe are in this situation saying, is there a way for me to reduce my monthly payments? Is there a way for me to reduce the things that are sucking the income and the savings out of our world? And I got to tell you, there is. As hard as it may seem, the first thing is for us to be willing to accept that maybe we're floundering a little bit, that maybe we're having a challenge a little bit. I remember back in college days. Now, in college back in my day, I don't know if they still do this, if they allow this. They shouldn't allow it. But in college in my day, these credit card vendors would be on campus, and you would walk through the student union, and then they're getting you credit cards. We didn't know what we were doing with credit. And so we'd get these credit cards and we'd run up the balances because we got free money. So we thought till the bill came in. And so those are the things that I think we need to start to realize is, one, let's just accept where we're at without beating ourselves up, without the remorse, without the blame, without any of that, because then we're open to learning and the lessons and doing that, because you're not alone out there. If you have credit card balances, if you're dealing with credit card, I went and actually looked up some statistics. There are 61% of people cannot come up with $1,000. This is according to bankrate.com. Cannot come up with $1,000 to pay for an unexpected expense. So if you can't come up with 1,000, where are you going to come up with it? you're going to put it on a credit card. I get it. This is why in the Affluence Blueprint, we talk about, hey, let's get a comfort fund in place. Let's get something in place so you have some room to breathe. And we say $1,500 or 1 month's expenses. Now, some people say, well, that's not a lot. Yeah, but it's more than what most people have, 61%. The other statistic, and it's the combination of these statistics that I think is alarming, is 47% carry a balance on their credit card. Now, that's according to Experian. 47% carry a balance on their credit card on an ongoing basis, and the average balance is over $5,300. So if I can't come up with $1,000 and I'm carrying a balance on my credit card, that is a challenge. And then there's another statistic that I'll give you, and that is, and then we'll jump into what do you do? 45% have zero in savings. So that combination, I think, of elements can lead to some bad financial situations, some bad financial decisions. And so I think it's really important for us to understand that. So once again, 45% no savings, 61% can't come up with $1,000, and 47% are carrying a balance of an average balance $5,300. So having said that, this starts to get you to understand the importance of this. Now, whether you have credit card debts or not, there's some things to consider. If I wanted to negotiate with a credit card company or any collector, let's just lay some groundwork real quickly. One, if we're trying to get ourselves out of debt, the first thing that you need to do is stop digging. We need to stop digging. We need to stop the hemorrhaging. If you know that you're using the credit card to just get by, we're spending, hey there, Wendy, good to have you. We're spending tomorrow's dollars on today's life. It's a mistake, because tomorrow's going to come and there's not going to be, and so you're playing a time Ponzi scheme with your own debt. So we can't spend tomorrow's dollars for today's life. The fact is you can't even spend today's dollars for today's life. What you should be doing is spending yesterday's dollars for today's life, meaning that it's earned, it's in the bank, it's there. And so when we deal with it in that way, the first thing to do is say, look, if I'm hemorrhaging, if I'm bleeding, I need to stop the bleeding first. So that means that we need to look at your expenses and do some things to try and get you in parity, so you're not more expenses than income each and every month. Hey, Rosemary, how are you? So that's the first thing, because it doesn't help us to turn around and start, let me negotiate the debt on this side, but I'm going deeper in debt on the other side. That's like putting water in a bucket with holes. It doesn't really help. So the first things first is then to stop digging. The second is this: and I'm not going to talk about collections. I can do another episode or something on collections, but if you're in collections, there's some things to be aware of. If the debt is in collections, and I don't know if Tracy's debt is in collections, but the first thing is this: is that they're in a business transaction. They're going to make it feel really personal. They don't care if they attack you or degrade you or anything like that. My advice: don't take the bait. It's a game they're playing. Don't take the bait. All right. We need to do three things if you're dealing with collections. One, stay calm. Two, don't argue. Let them talk. Let them do what they want to do. Okay. Three, whatever they say, ask for it in writing. That's the three basic rules. And then we can talk more about how do you deal with collections and what they can and can't do, because you have creditor rights. They can't do some of the things that they may threaten you to do and everything. So be aware of that. The other thing is this. All right. So now let's look about how do you negotiate your credit cards. I'm going to walk you through 9 things that I want you to do. 9 things. The first is this: is know the actual amount. You'd be surprised that when I talk to someone one-on-one and they say, I want to negotiate my debt. And I go, how much is it? And they go, I don't even know. And I get it. We get so frustrated and fed up with it sometimes we just don't even want to look. But until we look, until we take a peek, I got this new cut on my finger because of Budo, my puppy dog, my sheepadoodle, and he jumped up and happened to catch my finger with those like really sharp puppy teeth and just sliced it bad, and it was bleeding all over the place. So I wrapped it tight and I put a Band-Aid on it. And Stephanie, probably 4 hours later, said, "How bad is it?" I said, "I don't know. I don't want to look." And sometimes we do that with our credit. So we don't want to do that. You got to take the Band-Aid off. You got to look at how bad the cut is and everything. And then it's not for blame. It's not for anything, but for you to understand. So one is to know the actual amount, know the full amount of what you owe. Okay. Second is to get a clear understanding of what you can afford to pay. What are you going after? Am I trying to reduce the interest rate? Am I trying to reduce the payment? Am I trying to reduce the balance? Am I trying to get something there? What can you afford? What fits in your budget, in your cash flow resource plan, as we call it in the Affluence Blueprint? What fits? Because if we don't know what we're negotiating to, we don't know how to negotiate to get there. So first, we need to know what our starting point is. That's the actual amount. The second is we want to know what our goal is. And if it's simply, I need to reduce my payments, well, we can do that by a couple of things. One is maybe getting a stall on payments, But if we do that, we make sure that it's done without penalties and that type of thing. But more importantly, you might be able to change the interest, negotiate the interest rate and the rate that they charge. In doing that, there's a couple things to look at when we do that. So the third step, so know the amount, know your budget or what you can afford. And the third step is always take detailed notes of who you're talking to, what they say, what they ask, what the promises are, but more importantly, also what their role is with the company, what their title and role and responsibilities, what their authority is. So you will have a list of notes that you can always go back to. So if you move to someone else, because a lot of times in order to get the deal you want to get, you're going to simply have to escalate and say, "Can I speak to a supervisor? Can I speak to someone else?" And they may turn around and say, they've done this to me when I've been in the middle of helping someone negotiate. And they say, "Well, my supervisor isn't available right now." And I sat back and I said, "That's okay. I'll just wait." And I sat in silence. And now they have to, well, I said, "He's not," I said, "I understand. I'll just wait because I really want to get this resolved. And I don't want to wait for a call back or anything like that." So you can do things and I would do it somewhat in a, it's not a demanding, if you come at it with a very demanding, negative tone, they're going to resist you. I want you to come at it with more of a, "Hey, let's work together to make this." Too many times when I'm in negotiations, it's what can I get from you versus what can I get from the other person. And you're at opposite ends of the spectrum. You're against each other. You're in a duel. And if you go into a duel with negotiating, where it's what can I get from the other person and they have the same thing, you've already lost. The question is, how can you put you both on the same side of the table, looking down at the problem and say, "How do we fix this?" Because when we fix it together, we all win. Okay. And so the way you do that is not ask why questions, but ask how questions. How can we do this? How can we make this happen for you? Being curious about what their desires are. Now, a credit card company wants to get paid, but if you're in another type of negotiation, there's something that they need. Get curious about that. Okay, so that moves me then to number 4. Any correspondence you get from a collector, from a credit card company, or anything having to do with this, I want you to keep it, save it, and read it completely so it is clear. If it misstates anything that was discussed based upon your notes, you go back and make sure it's corrected. Okay. Number 5, understand what your story is. And story meaning the truth. Okay. What is your truth? What is it that you want to talk to them about and say, here's where I'm at. Like for instance, it could be me when I was going through cancer. Listen, I got diagnosed with cancer. I've got all these medical bills, and you maybe use this stuff for negotiating medical bills just the same. And so here's what's going on, and I need help to try and make this work. And you just stick to your story. You don't have to give a ton more details. If the details aren't going to affect their decision, then there's no reason to give it. So be brief, but stick to your story. Number 6, know your APR, the annual percentage rate. What are they charging you? Because this is what you're going to negotiate against. If they're charging you 28%, I want you to do this. I want you to go bankrate.com, look for the rates on credit cards of the same caliber. Okay. Now, in order to do this, you also need to understand what your credit score is, because the rate you'll get on a credit card may be dependent upon the credit score. So number 8 in my list is to get your credit, know your credit score. So if you know your credit score, go to bankrate.com, look at your credit score and see what kind of rates they have. If your current credit card is at 28%, but based on your credit score, you could get a credit card at 12%. You tell them that and say, Chase has a card that I could get for 12%. I want my rate dropped to 12%. Please help me out. Okay. But you need to be prepared to go in. You just can't go flippantly. So you want to have all your ducks in a row. So know the APR. We said know your amount, know your budget and what you can afford, know your credit score, and look at the options in bankrate.com. So you know that. And that leads me to one last piece on this, and that is this. This is really important for those that are in collections, especially. Never, ever, ever, ever give anyone access to your bank account. Okay, never, ever, ever, ever give anyone access to your bank account, especially a collector. Because if you give a collector access to your bank account and they say, we're only going to take the $200 out of there for what we agreed on, but they see that there's $1,500 in there and you owe $2,000, they're taking the whole $1,500 and there's nothing you can do about it. It becomes a real problem. So never, ever, ever, ever give anyone access to your bank account. Ever. It's a problem. So that's the thing that I want you to do. So Tracy, here's what I want you to do. I want you to sit down. First off, make sure that you stop digging. If you're going into debt on your credit card each and every month, then we need to figure out where the bleeding is. We need to stop the bleeding. Number 2, know the actual amount on the credit card you want to negotiate. Know what you can afford and where you want to negotiate to. Know what your APR is, what the interest rate is. Find out your credit score. Your credit score is going to be at freecreditreport.com. And then know what the other credit card options are for you. And you can get that from bankrate.com to understand what those options are. And then reach out to them. And if you don't get the answer you want with the first person you have a conversation with, escalate it and continue to escalate it until you can get to the point where you have got the answer that you want. These folks will negotiate with you. They will be flexible with you. Now, if you make demands, they can be as inflexible as they choose to be. But what I want you to do, and this is why I said to know your story, tell your story. Allow them to see the vulnerability. Allow them to say, hey, I'm here and I really want to get this taken care of. How do we make this happen? Can we make this happen? What do we need to do? And this is what we're trying to figure out. And so this is the way I would go about it is really start to do it from that perspective. Now, if you are in collections, and I didn't get that from your question, but if you're in collections, there's some other things that we can talk about. Let me know. We can talk about it in another session, because that may be something that we need to look at. Because the collectors, if it's not with the credit card company, but it's with a collection company, they do things differently. They're a bit more aggressive. They're a bit more intrusive, but they have limitations. And sometimes they step over the line. And we want to make sure that you're protected from that. So hopefully this helps. Oh, and last thing, everything is in writing. You don't, if they agree to something and they say, we're going to reduce the interest rate to 12%, we're going to reduce the balance to from $1,000 to $500 if you pay $500 within the next 3 weeks, you automatically say, please do me a favor. Can you send that to me in writing? And as soon as I receive it in writing, I will make the payment. But it is not send the payment in and we'll send it to you in writing. It's not the way this game works. I want this in hand as proof, as documentation, because here's the thing. If you don't have it in writing and you send the $500 in and they choose not to accept it as full payment in full, you have a potential default that they can report on your credit report. But if you have it in writing and you send the $500 in, and they still report it on the credit report as a default, you can use that to get it off the credit report. So there's a lot of reasons to do it, but we want to do it in writing to protect you. I know it's a hassle. Okay. I know it's a pain to do it right, but we need to be meticulous. We need to be detailed. We need to be documenting everything, and we need to be prepared as we go through it. And we need to be persistent. So if you don't get the answer you want, escalate or call back and talk to someone else, because your likelihood that you'll get to the same person is slim. Okay. But you need to be like, as my dear friend Bo Easton says, like a dog on a pant leg, and just keep going after it. Okay. It's a hassle. It takes time, but it's what we need to do if we're in a situation like this. But let's stop the bleeding first. I hope that helps. Let me know if that helps. Hey, there's some things that we can do together if it can help. I've got something that's a 7-day money plan workshop for anyone that wants to go. It's totally free. 7 days of me walking through Money Mind and things like that. You can go to the moneyplanworkshop.com, themoneyplanworkshop.com. For those of you that are on Facebook or YouTube, you'll see it. I just put it up on the screen. But the Money Plan Workshop, it's also in my bio. But this is just something for you to go through if you're trying to figure out how do you create a solid foundation, an unshakable foundation for your financial future. This is a place to go. The other thing that I want to let you know is that I'm actually doing. Thank you, Jen Casey, my friend. Money Plan, no planner. Thank you. But the other thing that I'm doing is I'm actually going to do a live training, as I wanted to go deeper. A lot of people are saying, "Hey, can we go deeper with you?" And I said, "Yeah, why not? I haven't done a live training in a while." So, towards the end of October, I'm going to do the Affluent Entrepreneur Live, 3-part live. Perfect. That's it. Thanks, Jen. 3 live training sessions with you. Okay. Live, virtual, going through it it's free. So join me in that. We'll go deep. We're going to spend some time talking about what are the money blocks? What are the wealth blocks? What do you need to know in the first session? The second session, we're going to spend time looking at what are the 5 affluence principles that today's entrepreneurs need to use to drive their wealth and the things that they want to do. And then I want to walk you through the actual process of building wealth, what it takes to truly, truly build wealth, and not wealth for having a number, but wealth to give you a richer lifestyle. And we'll talk more about all that. If you want to get on the VIP wait list so we let you know about that, that is affluencelive.com. You just put your name in there, and we have you on the list, and we'll let you know when space opens up so you can get access to the workbook. I'm going to do a workbook, everything. We're going to do this live. Three sessions. We're going to rock and roll, and we're going to make some differences in people's lives. It's for me to serve and make a difference. So I hope that serves you. I hope that helps. Tracy, let me know if you have any questions to follow up or anything. Let me know if the conversations go well. Let me know. If they don't and you have questions, let me know. Let's guide you through this. Let's get you stabilized financially, and let's move you forward. All right. So that's it. That's all I got. I've got a call that's coming up in just a couple of minutes that I got to get ready for, but I wanted to jump in here real quick and say hello to all of you, answer the question because I felt like it was time sensitive, help you out. If you have questions, once again, if you have any questions, money, wealth, business, post them, DM me, ping me, do something, send it in regular mail, do something. You don't have to struggle alone. Think of me as your money mentor in your back pocket and helping you out, just like I've done with a lot of my clients and everything. So reach out to me and know that you're not alone. So I appreciate it. Jen, you are the best. Jared Prince, thank you. And if there's any other things, let me know. I'll be back, as Arnold would say, anything that comes up. So I'll be getting back in here regularly. I've got some travel. Like I said, I got to get up to Seattle tomorrow, but I'm going to go live tomorrow also from Seattle once I figure some things out. All right. Talk to you all soon. Blessed day. Have a good Monday. It's the beginning of a week. Go crush it. Go take control of it. Go make a difference. And remember, always, always live a life that outlives you. Cheers.